it's Lauren here. A warning, this episode contains deep chats, lots of swear words, and some things you might find upsetting, but you know that we cannot help but overshare.
Hi, it's Gemma.
And Lauren.
Get ready to listen to our innermost secrets
In the Oops, We Overshared Again podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to the Oops, We Overshared Again podcast. And today we are joined by the wonderful Abby. So, Abby,
Hello.
You're here today to talk to us all about crystals.
I am.
So, do you want to start by introducing yourself and what it is that you do?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Abby and I own Celestial Coven, which is an online crystal shop. A lot of it is kind of catered towards those that use crystals for healing, especially those like with mental health, so like anxiety and things like that. I've been going since January of last year, and so far it's doing really, really well. We offer a lot of services as well. You know, we can source people crystals. We offer a loyalty scheme. It's just a whole lot of crystal fun, really.
I mean, I'm a big fan of crystals.
You're a big fan of my crystals as well.
I am a big fan of your crystals. I spend a lot of money on your crystals, Abby. Lauren is new to crystals.
I am really new to crystals. Crystals is one of the areas that I haven't fully explored yet.
Okay.
I'm intrigued, so this is going to be interesting for me. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I'm ready for the questions.
Well, funny enough, so this whole season accidentally has been a bit
spiritual,
yeah. And Lauren is currently embarking on I keep calling it Hogwarts, but basically she's got a teacher to help develop her psychic ability.
Okay.
And it's going really well. And
Good.
I bought from you not long ago
the
psychic crystals.
Bundle. Yeah.
Oh, she has them there. Lauren has them in her hand.
They are ready.
And even you said, didn't you? You were a bit like, what does a crystal do? And then you had it with you when you had your lesson and you were like...
Yeah, I did. So I've been doing like, is it weekly calls? So I've been working with two different people and I've been doing weekly calls with one person and weekly calls with another person. So I've been doing it twice a week.
Okay.
And on one of the group calls that I'm on, it was the day Gemma gave me the crystals. And I just had them next to me anyway, because I just like, why not? Let's give it a go. And that particular session, I felt a lot more come through, definitely. And it was the first time that I was really able to decipher like how the information was coming in and the fact that I was hearing it, and it was just a lot more clear, which was really interesting. And obviously I knew what the crystals were for. Like obviously you'd specified that they were for enhancing psychic ability, so there was part of me that was like, maybe, you know, like I knew that was going to happen, but then also there's always a part of me with anything like this where I'm like, I don't really care like if it works, you know. But yeah, no, I definitely found it easier with the crystals next to me.
Good.
Yeah. I like my new crystals.
Good.
Have you been being good? Have you charged them with the full moon yet? Have you done anything like that with them?
No.
Okay.
No, I have not. It's something I would like to do. I would like to just learn a lot more about them in general, to be honest, and how I can use them, because I don't feel like I'm kind of like, oh, I have a crystal next to me, but that's kind of honestly where my knowledge ends.
Okay.
So beginner. It's unreal.
I'm going to be honest, mine is not much more than that. I've never charged a crystal in a full moon.
Have you not?
I have a selenite bowl. They go in there.
Yeah, that will get rid of, like, it's almost like the full moon is like a deep cleanse, if that makes sense. So like with the selenite, it's almost like a little partial. You know, when you go around your house and you're like tidy up the crumbs, that's like what the selenite does. But then like a full moon is like a full blown, like you've decluttered every single cupboard.
What do you do?
You just have to put them out in the full moon, so it can be either on the inside of the window or like the outside. Kind of depends on your area if you think someone's going to pinch them or not. But you literally just leave them where the full moon can get them, and then that's it. That's all you have to do. You can use incense as well. That's a good way of doing it. But yeah, if you use them and charge them and then cleanse them in the full moon, after you've done all that, you can then set your intentions with them, and then what happens is a lot more intense. So like Lauren, where you said that you felt that they were kind of opening a door for you, if you then cleanse them in the full moon and then use them again in your next session, that door would essentially be like more open, if that makes sense.
I've literally just Googled it because I thought I'd heard it, but I wasn't sure. There's a full moon coming up like on Friday.
There you go. Stick them out on the window.
So there you go. So maybe on Friday,
Yep,
we should give this a go, Gemma included.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm up for that. I have loads of crystals as well. So, you know, could I like put them in a box in the garden?
Yeah, you can
Wait,
put
you
them in
have
a
to make
box
sure it
in the
doesn't
garden.
make sure it doesn't rain.
Yeah, preferably don't get them wet. Some of them are okay to be wet, some of them don't like
Yeah.
it. It depends on how it's been like in the earth and what it's actually made of in terms of its compounds and stuff.
Right.
But even if you put a lid on the box, if it's like just a normal little transparent, you know, like a Tupperware box, that's fine, because
I
obviously
could
the
use
light
like
can
I've
still
got
get
like a
through
really useful box actually.
it. Yeah, your other half is be wondering what the hell is she doing? You're just
Oh,
gonna go out there with a
he's more than
silver.
used to my shenanigans.
I to be fair, in the last full moon, but it might not have been the last one, but in one of the full moons this year, before I got these crystals, I did do in fact they're literally here. I did do some manifestations and also moon water for the first time ever. Which
Yeah.
was
What did you do?
I drank moon water. Have you never done moon? Gemma, come on.
How are you knowing
See,
more about this shit than
more
me?
So
yeah, you can drink moon water. You can, the crystals that are allowed to go in water can also go in moon water. That
Where
is
do you
something
get
that
moon
you can
water
do.
from?
make
So
it.
it's just normal water,
Right.
preferably like not, well, I suppose you can use rainwater, tap water, just any water, and then put it in a clear jug or a jar or something, leave it out, let the moon, you know,
How long does
get
the
in
moon
on
have
it.
to touch these things?
But overnight.
Just overnight, just one thing, and then you're done.
Wow.
And then you drink it.
Yeah, and then you can drink it. You can
Shut
put
up. What does
crystals
it
in
do?
It's supposed to be like a cleansing, opening kind of thing, because
Hi,
obviously
Abby.
the
I
crystals
really
come.
thought because of all
No,
the ones we've done in this season, it has been me learning everything, and Lauren's been like, "Yeah, because of this." And 'cause of
she
that." And I
knows.
thought, when Abby comes on, it's going to be me teaching Lauren a thing or two. No,
No, she knows.
every day's a school day.
She knows her stuff.
It's interesting. I learned as well. I don't know how accurate it is, but I learned that you can, with each moon that it's in, if you do the moon water in that area, and I don't know if it's the same with crystals or not, you'll obviously have to fill me in on that because that's where my knowledge goes, but you get the energy of the moon. So the one I did, it was Aries, and it's a fire sign, so it's all about being productive and like fired up. So I drank the moon that time to try and get some of that energy.
Yeah, exactly. So you can work out what your moon sign is depending on when you were born and like the location and the time, and I think the day as well, and then you figure out what zodiac sign is your moon, because you obviously you have your main one, and then you have like your sun. So
Oh,
you
I
have your
do
sun,
know
your
that.
rising, and your moon.
Yeah.
Then if you drink
that
moon
recent.
water in your moon sign, it's supposed to be more powerful. And then like what Lauren said, the Aries, it was more, you know, like a dominant kind of sign. If you had one that was, for example, I think Virgo is supposed to be quite a feminine sign. If you drank it in Virgo moon, then you'd have a bit more of a feminine kind of vibe with it. But also the different you know, you have like the full moon and the waxing crescent and things like that, they all mean different things as well. So if you drank the moon water or did your manifestations depending on the moon, so the general gist is that obviously the crystals come from the earth, and then the moon and the sun are like goddesses, and then, or the sun is the god and the moon is the goddess, and then you can use their powers to help you. And a bit like with manifestation or witchcraft, like spell work, for example, I like my spell work is always done on a full moon. It's the only way.
So to be honest, so when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
me and my sister used to think we was witches.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, we loved it. We was living for that. But I never used to do it by the moon, partly because back when I was a kid, you didn't really have access to internet like you do now, so we probably didn't know when the full moons were, if I'm being honest. I did have quite a few spell books though. Yeah, and there was 3 of us, and we definitely thought we were like the Charm sisters.
To be fair, there are different types of witches. So even though you didn't do it in the moon, you probably don't feel like you're a moon witch, so to speak.
Well, no, but
Like
I've
hedge
since
witch.
then, since knowing about, I'm fascinated by
Mhm.
the moon, everything. I've done forgiveness rituals on a full moon.
How did they go?
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, I enjoyed them a lot. But I actually I burnt a hole in a bucket the first time I did
I
it.
set a smoke alarm off. Don't worry about it.
I went out in the garden with my paper and I lit it and I was like, shit, what do I do with it? So there was a bucket, like a B&Q bright orange bucket there, and I put it in
Yeah.
there thinking like, go out.
No.
It didn't. And it burnt a hole in the bucket. And Ben was like, why is there a hole in my bucket? I was like, funny story.
Yeah.
I
I set
burnt that
the fire alarm
bucket.
off.
So the next time I said I was going to do it, he come out with me and he was on fire marshal duties and he made me do it in a metal bucket
Yeah. That's the better plan.
and told me he's going to buy me an incinerator for Christmas.
Yeah, why not? That'll do. Yeah, I set the fire alarm off. That was quite funny. Expected it was going off. Mother half was like, "You all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, just got to like turn this off."
How did you get into all of this, Abby? Like, where did that come from?
I don't really know. It just kind of happened. There wasn't anything like specific. A bit like when I was younger, I was really obsessed with crystals and witchcraft, and a bit like Gemma, I thought I was, I was a witch. I was like, "Yep, I'm a witch. Yep, I have powers." Looking back at it, really silly. But then now, I still think the same. So
No,
maybe
nothing
not.
silly about it at all.
But yeah, it just kind of, I don't know. And then I think I tried to fit in a bit more and to not like those things as much and try to be a bit more normal, like all the things that all my friends liked, and to not kind of think, oh, that's a pretty rock, I'll take that home, and that's a pretty shell, I'll take that home, and oh, that's a this, and all of that sort of stuff. But then, no, I just kind of decided I didn't like not being into it as much anymore, and then I just decided, well, I'm going to get into it then, and then the collection grew, and then my knowledge grew, and then I think within like 6 months I was like, yep, I'm a witch. I identify as a witch, and then now everyone at work knows I'm a witch. I've got crystals. But it's odd, the more you're open about it, the more people come up to you and say, oh, I've really been interested in crystals, but I don't know who to ask, and oh, I don't know what this crystal does, and what does that mean, and oh, I really like the moon, does that mean something? And it's really odd that everyone seems to have like a higher connection with the earth, but you don't really talk about it until someone is open enough to then go, well, actually, I like it. Like tarot reading, for example. The minute you say you know how to read tarot, then loads of people have questions and they want to know more about it. But until you say anything, like, no one does.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's funny,
yeah.
actually. I went to an Indian restaurant about 2 months ago with my boyfriend, and we were in this restaurant and we were talking about what I was doing with my kind of psychic development and stuff. We were talking about spirits and all of this, and we were just like in on our own in our own little bubble. And then it wasn't until we were leaving, the waiter came over to take us our bill, and he was like, I'm so sorry, I've been listening to your conversation, I've got so many stories about this. And he just went off on this, like to the point where we couldn't leave. And it was so funny, but it just goes to
really
show,
cute, though.
Yeah, I was like, see, I'm the normal one. I'm normal.
It is, yeah, no, 100%. I got served by someone in Tesco's and she had crystal bracelets on, and I was like, I love your bracelets. And then she noticed mine, and then that was it. We were off on a conversation.
Yeah.
But it is, yeah, it's one of those things. I think, like, I've always been fascinated by, there's definitely something else in the world. Like, I personally believe in spirits. I grew up in a very old house, so that we had a little spirit there. And I think because my mum was also a little bit into it, so she does Reiki, that then it was kind of an open door into the spiritual kind of holistic world. And then it was like, all right, to be a little bit, oh, I've bought a crystal, for example. Like, my granddad bought me a crystal for the first time when we went on holiday, and I was 6, I think, maybe like 6. So that's like the first ever one, and it's still got pride of place, bless it. But yeah, it is, I love it. I think it's really cool. I've never felt more like me than when I said, right, I'm going to do all this, if that makes sense.
I love that.
Yeah, it's cute.
It's really lovely. And with regards to crystals then, so apart from charging them in the full moon, which definitely I think Lauren and I are both going to give that a go on Friday.
You're missing out. You are missing out.
And a bit of moon water.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely here for that as well.
You can add it to your bath as well. That's something that you can do.
What,
Is
the
it
moon?
better to drink it or bath in it?
But you can do both. You can do anything. You can put crystals in it, you can drink it, you can put it in your bath. But if you do get some moon water and then mix it with some like lavender and rosemary like oil, but like mix it together and add it to your bath, that's a very feminine kind of energy, divine feminine thing to do. Just
Because I do sometimes, my rose quartz,
Mm-hmm.
I've got quite a few of them. I've got like a couple of bits I put in my bath and then a couple of bits I put around the edge of my bath.
Yeah, that's very, feminine energy as well.
Because I've actually got a big bit of rose quartz, which is one of the first crystals I ever had,
Mm-hmm.
which actually my friend Anushka gave to me when I was pregnant just before I gave birth. And it's
Aww.
actually, it's quite big.
She's off.
Here we go, show and tell.
It is quite big.
That's beautiful.
It's like a raw bit. And she said to me, she gave it to me,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, I don't know if you're like, if you believe in it. She went, but even if not, she went, it is for like unconditional love. She's
Mm-hmm.
like, and whilst you're in labour, just hold it and like, and had it with me when I gave birth.
Aww.
Yeah. And it's really funny because Elliot loves it. In fact, the other day, he's like, my crystal, and took it to school and I had to like, I had to be like, well, like nursery, and I had to be like, no, leave that with mummy and I'll keep it in the car. You're not taking it in there, thanks.
Yeah, so he's
It's
got
really
a little bit
funny that he
connected
loves
to it.
that, considering that was given to me just before I had him.
Aww. So yeah, he probably does feel connected to it, or it's connected to him. But that is sweet.
That is really
But
sweet.
it is. He's very cute, if I do say so myself.
I
So if somebody was wanting to get into crystals, what would you say would be a good starting place?
think what in terms of like where to go or like what to buy
All
or
of
just
that.
all of it.
Where to look, what to
All of
buy,
it.
All
Just
of the
the whole,
questions.
just all of it. Okay.
where to start.
I think definitely do your research. Google is an amazing place. Um, you might find some kind of cross information. Sometimes someone might say one thing, someone might say another thing. I think with that, just go with what you feel is right. There are a few different kind of crystals that have some people think have different properties because most of them have maybe about two each. Like each crystal has two properties each. So some people are more on the side of it's this one, and some people more on the side of that one. I think in terms of the best crystals to get, definitely rose quartz. So that's for your self-love. Amethyst for the anxiety and the calming. Clear quartz amplifies everything. So if you put clear quartz with any other crystal, it'll be like 10 times more potent. Aventurine is good for luck, and tiger's eye is good for confidence, and probably lapis lazuli for communication. I think definitely get like those 6 as like a base just to start off, because like they're one thing you could then have like one per day, maybe missing out another day. I should find number 7, citrine. We'll go for citrine. That one's good for joy and happiness. So you got one for every day of the week, and then you can just pick one, you can move them around together, and I think everyone kind of needs a little bit of all of those at some point, if that makes sense. In terms of buying them, there are still a lot of physical shops. The downside physical shops are they are a little bit more expensive because obviously they've got higher costs, whereas if you're online you're probably not going to be as expensive, but crystals are in general more expensive because obviously they're natural, they are a depleting source. So if you find a crystal that's like £1, when you find another crystal that's like £7, just be careful that the £1 isn't a fake, because it's probably going to be, if it's too low, if you think, oh, that's too good to be true, then it is probably going to be a fake one. So just be careful of those. I think that's probably it for just like where to get going.
Have you ever found a crystal in the wild?
Yeah, you can find quartz. Quartz is a good one to find. You can find that at the seaside. You can find, what else can you find? I think in the UK that's probably it, to be fair. We don't have a lot of like natural. Oh, we can find fluorite. You can find fluorite in the UK. That normally comes up in like Wales and Scotland, higher places. But for us, we're obviously a bit more level. You can find quartz, at the beach, in the garden. Just have to dig a bit.
Wow.
I found some bits and bobs. and sea glass. You can always find sea glass, although it's technically not a crystal. But then also you can find the stones with the holes in. They're called hag stones.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be good luck. You're supposed to keep those. Obviously, you can find those at the beach as well.
Yeah, I got gifted one of those when I left
Mm.
teaching by someone that I worked with.
They're good.
And it had like I can't remember what it said, but it had like a little poem attached to it, and it was like a good luck type scenario.
Yeah, they're a good luck thing, or protection. The Irish use them for protection. Most of them will have like a little border of hagstones around their garden as like a protection, because you think it protects you from spirits. So again, different meanings. Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, there you go. Gotta go back to the beach now.
No.
Those shells that you found.
I was like, I don't want the shit ones with a hole in it.
No, they're good. If you find a bit like a 4-leaf clover, if you find it, you keep it.
Okay.
It's the universe's way of saying like you need this, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
And what about with Lauren's crystals? Well, how would you use them?
The psychic bundle.
Like
Yeah.
that sort of tumble stone type.
Yeah. So obviously you took them. So is your thing online all the time, or is it ever in person?
It's always online.
Okie So I would have set up like a little altar. So that is almost like a little sacred space. Just have them there, maybe with some incense. Whatever are you doing it to like contact people, or are you doing it to bring things? Or a bit both?
Yeah, a bit of both.
Okay.
We've done a lot of like Akashic record work with just kind of what comes through.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm kind of a bit of everything.
Okay, bit of everything. Okie. So I would have the crystals pride a place in the middle. I would have some incense or a candle, just something that creates smoke, because smoke is very like cleansing, so you're going to want that in the space. And then if you're trying to contact people specifically, who has had a photo or something of theirs that you have, or if you're trying to do something, you can write it down like you did with manifestations. You can write down and say, I will contact this person, or I will do this, or I will get this answer. But it has to be very positive. So it's not a I want to, it's a I will. And then the universe will go, okay, we'll make that happen then. That's the kind of like gist of it. In terms of actually programming the crystals, because that is the kind of the main thing that you do with them. So the crystals have the energy in them to obviously enhance your psychic abilities, but you want to be able to say to them, I want you, this crystal, I want you to do this for me. So you have to hold it, and I mean like really, really tightly, like insanely tightly, and just think, what you want to happen. So you have to imagine that you're on your call, for example, and your person's telling you what you need to do, and you're doing it, and your outcome that you want from it happens. And you're going to really imagine that you're feeling that, and you feel the emotions that you would feel if that happened, and you can almost like see it happening, if that makes sense. And you really want to kind of put into the crystal, right, yeah, this is what you're going to give me, this is what's going to happen. And then hopefully, it might take a little while, but hopefully it will then work. But having them in that sacred space just kind of keeps them cleansed, keeps them from not getting any energy from elsewhere, because you don't know what you might pick up on your way around. You might not know what your other half picks up as well. Or if, for example, you guys have an argument, the crystals are very buggers for keeping that. Like, they get really grumpy if you have an argument, and they'll get very stagnant. So you might program it and go, you're going to give me this, and then you have an argument and it's decided that it doesn't want to work anymore. I don't know why. It just happens with everything. It doesn't have to be like a relationship argument. It could just be anything. Any negative energy that you bring home, they just don't like it. So that's why the smoke is good, and the cleansing. And then you can keep doing it as you want to. If you feel like, I don't know, maybe the call didn't go as well as you wanted to, and you didn't get as much like information as you wanted, you could then hold them again and just really trying to drill into them and be like, this is what I'm trying to do. And they might be trying to work behind the scenes with the universe to make that happen. It might just be taking them a little while longer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Would you?
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I'm going to try that. I'm moving in like 3 weeks. I haven't told Gemma that yet. 3 weeks. I know now. 3 weeks.
That's exciting.
So I'm moving in 3 weeks, and I want to set up a space when
Yeah.
like that's something that's like on my agenda to do.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to doing that, and I do want to make sure that it's because I'm not in my space at the moment. I'm staying with my grandparents, and
Mhm.
it's like I don't feel like I have anywhere that I can
Yeah.
really, like take full advantage of them, and I
Mhm.
want to make sure I have that because I don't
You
feel like
want
I'm
your
getting
space.
the best out of them right now at all.
Yeah. No, but I think that might be psychological in the fact that you don't feel like you're 100% comfortable where you are. You know that you can have your own space, in 3 weeks' time, which is really exciting. So yeah, so once you've all moved in, it doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be anywhere special. It can literally be like on the side or on like a bookshelf or just somewhere, but you make it special because you're telling it it's special, if that makes sense.
It does.
Can I ask a quick question? So I've just grabbed this from behind me. I bought this
Yeah.
in Devon. Shell with the sage.
Yeah.
So would you use that sage to cleanse the crystals?
Yeah, you can do. You can use sage. You can use incense. You can use the smoke from a candle.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't have to be something
It doesn't
specific.
have to be. No. So it's
okay.
the smoke itself is what is the cleansing, the actual smoke.
Right.
But the sage came in because of the like the Red Indians. So that's where they'd use that, and then the feather. So the shell represents
Yeah, I've got the feather
water,
as well.
and then the
Yeah.
feather represents the earth, and then you put that together, and then you're kind of cleansing it, so it's all together entwined.
Okay.
But yeah, you can use sage if you want to. There are very good bundles on Etsy where they put lavender with the sage. That's very good for calming.
Yeah, I don't really know. This has got some flowers on it,
Oh yeah.
but I bought it in Devon with the
You give it a go.
intention of saging my house.
It wouldn't take the whole stick to sage it anyway.
Man, I've never got round to. I light it, and then
Yeah.
it goes out. So
All you have to do is if you open all the windows in your
Yeah.
house and open all the doors, and then literally just light it, walk in, use the feather, and then so you're in the doorway, so you've got the room in front of you, the doorway, and then obviously the windows are open, and you use the feather to push the smoke into the room. If you then close the door, the smoke will then go out of the window, and that will then remove the energy.
So you don't have to
out.
physically go to every single corner of the room.
No.
Right. I think that's where I'm going wrong in life. Is
No, you can. I mean, you can use dowsing rods. So they are the rods where you hold them and then they cross over if there's like a hot spot. Or you can also ask it questions to speak to spirits. If you walk around your house with the dowsing rods and then they cross, there is a hot spot of energy there. That could either mean that there's a spirit standing there, or that could just mean that there's something that's happened there when you were there or before. But you can then specifically sage that spot and then keep checking with the dowsing rods to make sure that they uncross.
what?
Yeah, but that's what farmers used to use those to see where the ley lines were. And
Have you got these
walk
rods,
around.
Lauren?
I haven't, no, but I've seen them before in
They are
videos I've watched.
Are
very
you going to
good.
get some?
I don't know if I'm scared or not.
Don't be
I'm scared.
I
Don't
don't
be
get
scared.
scared.
Honestly, I made the mistake of being scared when I used them for the first time, and I spoke to my mentor, because I have a mentor as well called Kitty, and I was like, this happened, what is going on? Basically, I was getting answers to questions that were the opposite of what I was expecting, and she said basically a spirit was playing with you. They were messing with you, they were having fun with you because you were scared. So because you opened yourself up to it, a spirit was like, yeah, I'm going to mess with her. And oh boy, they did. I was like, I never want to touch these. I binned them. I had to buy new ones. It was like a whole big thing. But honestly, don't be scared. I then redid it with her, and we cleansed myself. I had some crystals with me for protection, and we did it again, and I got the answers that I was expecting to get, so it's all good.
Oh my god, shall I do it in my flat when I move in?
Yes, I'll bring
Yeah.
my sage. I'll bring the sage.
So we all just like
away.
come with our little bits. We're like, right, is everything okay?
If someone
Yeah.
could bring somebody that could perform an exorcism,
We've got Abby. She's going to bring her rods.
I'll bring the rods.
I would like to try it. It's funny because this sort of stuff doesn't scare me at all, generally speaking.
Mhm.
But for some reason, things like, I don't know, it's weird, isn't it, how certain things hit you.
I think probably because they are moving.
Yeah, true.
Whereas if you know you're a tarot reader, for example, and you just get like the cards out and then there's a message, you're not, well, the tarot reader sometimes hears a message, but like you as a receiver, you're not getting it. But if you're doing it yourself and you see these rods moving, I freaked. I genuinely freaked. I was doing it, and I was doing it on my own in my grandparents' house, so they are deceased. There was no one there, and I was on my own, and I was like, I'm going to get some answers to some questions. And I was holding them, and I was like, what's going on? And then they flipped all the way behind me. And you know when you're like, I don't want to turn around. I really don't want to turn around. I don't want to turn around. I don't want to turn around. And I turned around, and my granddad was there, spirit form. But it made me jump because I knew that they were there. I believe I can see spirits. But I never expected to then turn around and he'd be very much like right there.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I don't like this anymore. I'm going. I literally went out, sat in the car. My mum turned up. She was like, you all right? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm great. Can't wait.
Do the rods, because I've never touched them, I've never played with them at all. Do they have like, just for somebody that like fully thinks it's bullshit, just like on a like wanting genuinely, just like for anybody listening, so I genuinely don't, is it one of those things where you can turn it, or are they on like their own act?
No, so they're on their own little act. So you have, it's almost like a casing, and then the dowsing rod goes down and then it comes out, so you can hold on to the casing, but you literally can't move them. You can move them if you swayed your body, or if you like, you know, moved your finger, for example, but they are quite weighted. So if I was to move it with my body, I'd have to full on like move, and then obviously you could see it. Yeah, so I think they're real because you can literally be as steady as you want to, even with things like the pendulum boards. So they have like the yes, no, maybe, possibly, and then you can hold it. Again, your hand will shake because you're holding something up higher, and you know got the strain going down your arm. But for it to start moving this way or to start moving this way, you can't do that unless you actually start making it move.
I do have a pendulum, what you call it? I don't know if it's called pendulum actually. It's like a chain with a crystal point at the bottom, and I've got that. And I have asked it yes or no questions before, and I was the first time I did that, I was a bit like, how will that work? And I was like, oh, is my name Gemma? And it like went round in a circle, but like a definitive circle, and I was like, I can't remember what, am I 10 or something like that, I said, and it swung. And I was like, but I had my elbow on the table. And I was like, okay. So I asked it another question, like, is my son called Elliot? And again, it said yes. And I was like, do I have a cat or something like that? No. And I was like, shit.
Yeah, they even make little holders as well, so you can put the actual pendulum in a holder and you can ask it questions, so it does it on its own. So it completely takes away someone holding it, but it still works because it's the energy. That's the thing. Like, you can't see it. It's the energy. It's the universe. It's, you know, it's through you. You have energy. That's the whole thing. Especially crystals. Crystals have the energy. You have the energy. They have their own little what they can do, and you're going, right, I'm going to use what I have to give to you, and then they give you back. That's the general gist of it.
See, we start with, you can have a very small altar, and I'm just suddenly got fucking crystals everywhere.
We're opening up a shop.
That's it. Now I see how you did it. Now I see how that got started.
This is
you come to one of Abby's lives, you'll do what I do and spend loads of money. I'll pick them up and bring them over when I come over with my sage to clean your house.
Okay, cool.
I'll bring Abby. She can bring her rods.
Smashing. Done. I'm up for it.
Honestly, I'm fascinated. I think where I'm at the moment with anything spiritual in any kind of way, or anything in life, actually, it doesn't even have to be spiritual, but I feel like it's more prominent with the spiritual stuff at the moment. I feel like I'm just in this really like, I just want to like play and see. Like, that's kind of how I feel about it. Just like,
but that's a good way to feel, because you're open to experiences, and you're open to, if you think, oh, that's bullshit, I don't believe that, that's fine. You know, you don't have to. There's so many elements of like spiritualness that you can kind of pick and choose what you like, what you don't like, what you believe. So yeah, there's no harm in it, really. Maybe to your bank balance, but that's about it.
See, I feel like I really believe it all, but I'm so scared of it.
What are
And,
you
like,
scared of?
all of it. Like, to the point, it's like, I'll be like, oh, I love me an oracle card, right? Do love an oracle card. And I'll pull an oracle card and I'm like, oh, but what if it tells me something I don't want to know? Or I will,
Okay.
prime example, Lauren used to have randomly, she'd be sitting home on her own, like the doorbell would go.
Mhm.
She'd be like, oh, just a ghost again. I'd be like, what the fuck? And I would literally be like panicking for her. And things like that, or getting a like a prime example of that as well, Abby, when I said to you about that crystal and I can't remember what it was called now.
Moldavite.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh no, okay, that seems a bit
Got
much for
to.
me. I won't
Yeah.
bother. I get very scared of it. I fully believe
Okay.
it, but very scared.
Then you've had, and I think we've spoken about it on another episode, but you had quite traumatic, scary childhood experiences of situations.
Supernatural. Yes.
So I wonder if that's, like, you are, when you had these experiences for the first time, you were a small child.
True.
And
So there was
scary.
what? So there's been a negative spirit that you
When I was younger, yeah.
encountered. Right. Okay. That would make sense as to why you're a bit scared. That's fair enough.
Yeah. Not anymore.
You can do.
My antenna is firmly in.
You can have, protective crystals and things around you if you wanted to, but that's why you have the obsidian in your bra. There you go. That
And in my bra.
See,
That
now
will
you
wake
need to
my
go
bra.
get some stones with holes in as well for protectiveness.
Yeah, hag
Well, now I know.
Gotta go back to the beach now.
They will just literally, my whole house will be made of these hag stones.
Well, that's something else you can do when you come to mine, because I live on the beach as well. So you can come, we can do the rods, we can set up an altar, and then we can go to the
Sage.
beach and get some stones.
I'm here for
I
that.
like this plan.
A day
This
out.
is a good plan. I'm
a great
inviting myself. I am coming. I hope everyone's
Yes.
aware.
You've got the rods, Abby.
That's
How are we
true.
going to do it without you?
That's true.
You are more than welcome. I don't have any furniture, by the way.
That's fine.
We'll bring some camping chairs.
I'll take you out for lunch. It'll be fine. But no, I'm fascinated, so I'm more than up for that. I'm in.
It'd be cool. I think, yeah, I can understand why you'd be scared, Gemma, to be fair. I get that. But yeah, maybe just baby steps.
Yeah, I love my crystals. I'll stick with crystals.
I think we're scared of anything that doesn't make sense anyway. I think just in general.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a whole.
I didn't realise though that incense, because I do love a bit of incense, I didn't realise that incense had the same properties as sage.
Yeah.
From the cleansing perspective.
You can get sage incense.
I have got that white sage.
Yeah, if you want to. But yeah, it's the smoke, really. It is the smoke.
Right.
Obviously, the herb sage does have properties which kind of add to it, but the actual cleansing of things is the smoke, not sage, if that makes sense.
Which I feel like is a really good tip for beginners again, though, because you don't need to have this stuff.
No.
You can literally have one of your candles that you have anyway.
Yeah.
And it do the same thing. It doesn't mean that you've got to spend, like, we're going back to that, like, the one thing it does damage is your bank balance. Like, you don't have to buy all of this stuff. You can make do with some of the stuff that you already have.
Yeah. And I think also if you are, maybe like a teenager and you don't have as much money, your parents are bound to have candles.
Yeah.
Quickly borrow one of those. Maybe ask first. I don't want any mothers to be like, she's making new berry candles.
We don't encourage any children to light candles on their own.
There you go, that's the one.
Or welcome in any spirits on their own.
But yeah, it doesn't have to be expensive to begin with, I think. I think the problem is as well that obviously people have made it seem expensive, because then, like, as a shop, it would be very easy for me to say, oh no, you must buy this one and you must buy this and you must buy that. But I'm not about that. I don't know. Spiritual on a budget, 100%.
Love that.
I love that as well. I'm excited. I just want to get further into it, and I want to keep exploring, and I will watch your lives. I'm intrigued.
Oh no.
What else would you put on an altar?
Anything. It's literally anything that's special to you. Obviously, if you are making an offering to a deity, so if, for example, that's like a whole other thing on its own. That's like
Yeah.
a whole other thing. But yeah, so if you were making an offering to them, you could bring stuff to like offer to them. But it is just things that are special to you, that either hold significance in terms of like actual like things, or maybe your favorite crystal, or what you want from that month, or what you want in the next week. It's just like a little sacred kind of spiritual corner, really. I keep going over here because mine's over here. That's why I keep doing that.
Oh.
Mine is like right there.
I guess it's
That's
one of
really
those
cool.
things where it's almost harder because there's not a right answer. It's like a incredibly like
It's a very personal, yeah. Yeah, it's like a personal thing. I think for me, candles and crystals are 100%, and because I'm obviously a little bit of a witch, so I like the herbs, things like that. But you know, those shells, for example, that you picked up, Gemma, you could have those on there because they were special to you. So like,
Yeah.
let's say for May, for example, that is the beginning of your altar because you found them on the 1st of May. So then you might want to add,
Aw.
you know, things that you found during. That's how I like to think of it anyway. I kind of do mine by seasons or by month, depending on what's going on.
Nice. I'm gonna give that a go.
Yeah, you can literally just have like a little corner or just like a little kind of like spot that's just yours. You know,
Yeah.
put that rose quartz in there
Well, I've got,
in the
you probably
middle.
can't see, I've got the tray behind me. It's like a
Oh,
mirrored
yes.
tray. And on that, I have normally all my crystals out, like not all of them, but all my points,
Yeah.
towers, whatever. That little cloud I bought from you,
Oh, yes. But...
and some other bits that sort of stand up,
hmm
and I have them there, and I've
Yeah.
got a candle in the middle, but not so much as an altar. Just I thought it looked pretty.
No, but that is kind of what it is.
Yeah,
It is just I don't think you meant to, but you've created a little like sacred space.
I have. I
So
don't let anyone touch it.
that is, yeah, that's literally, yeah, that's just kind of your little spiritual spot.
No, lovely. Well, there you go. On my way. We'll do you one next, Lauren.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we're literally just going to turn up. There's going to be no furniture. We're going to have an altar in like every single room.
It's going to terrify the neighbours. They're going to think some weird seance is going on because we're all just going to arrive with these sticks and crystals and
One way to introduce yourself to the neighbours, I suppose.
Yeah.
I
It'll
honestly
to be
think when
hilarious though. They'll be
have to
thinking
go.
if your flat's haunted, everything else will be haunted.
That's true. It's an old Victorian townhouse, and I'm just on the top floor.
So is it a townhouse that's been converted into flats?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And it is Victorian, so I think yeah, there's definitely chance for it. I'm basically in like I'm on the 2nd floor of the Victorian townhouse, so
okay,
there's every chance.
Did you view the house?
Yeah, so I've actually lived in it before. So
okay.
So I lived there 3 years ago, and then moved in with my ex, and then because we've split up, I've been like at my nan's for about 4 or 5 months now. So I'm looking forward to getting back into my flat, but I am completely redoing. It's not going to look like my flat anymore because it's had in it for a number of years. So it's interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I always felt very it's the first time I've ever, well, it's the only place I've ever lived completely on my own, and I'm one of those people that does get weirded out, not because of spiritual stuff, because of actual people. I get weirded out and get scared quite easily of like with ghost thing that Gemma said, like it scares me a lot less that it's a ghost ringing the doorbell than a man. Like the man scares me more than the ghost.
Yeah.
So I am quite a nervy person when I'm by myself, and weirdly, and I don't know if it was because I was up high, I don't know what it is, but I've never felt as safe on my own as I have in that flat. I've always just felt incredibly safe in there. So I'm quite, I think,
considering that it's come back on the market for renting, and then you can move back, is potentially, well, I would take that as the universe is like, yeah, you need to be there. Like that's where you're supposed to be.
I think it's interesting that I'm moving back in because I didn't I definitely didn't anticipate ever going back, but it's it's just a very calming, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just a very like, I just feel it's a very homely place that just feels very relaxing. So I'm
There
excited.
might be a couple there, but they sound nice if they are. They haven't made a bad energy, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, and that doesn't bother me at all. Like, I'm totally open to that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It'll be
Dunno.
interesting to see if your calls are a bit more, don't know, if more things happen if you're in that space again.
Well, it's interesting because when I was at my ex's, I was always convinced that one of the spirits that was around me was my granddad. And
Mhm.
weirdly, as the universe has made happen, this is my granddad's bedroom that I'm in right now. So
Mhm.
I ended up moving into my granddad's bedroom when we split up. So
Oh,
it's really odd because I definitely don't feel like I notice him anymore being around
mhm.
me, which is weird because I'm in his space, but I just generally feel calmer. So I wonder if it's more like a more
Yeah.
everywhere rather than
It could be he's not showing as much because he doesn't feel like you need the comfort as much, if that makes sense.
yeah, that makes sense.
I know that sounds really weird, but they
No.
you know they do have a choice when they pop up or send us little signs and stuff. Things like feathers and birds, butterflies. I don't know if you had anything like special, like a song or anything like that, but there are ways that they'll kind of pop up and just be like, it's all good, and then they'll like shoot off again. But
Can I ask a quick question on that then? You might be able to answer this. Do you think that spirits latch on to things?
I think that the things can amplify their energy. So if, for example, I was a spirit, like I wear this necklace every day. So I think if I was a spirit and I was like, going to be attached to anything, it would probably be this. And then if that person was then holding it, I think if I was going to come through, if I wanted to anyway, I maybe would come through a bit stronger or maybe for a little bit longer
So
because
what about,
that thing is like amplifying it, if that makes sense.
yeah, because I get like a heebie-jeebie feeling in my guest room of my house, but I live in a new build.
Okay.
But the only thing that's in that room
Mm-hmm.
is I've got my bed frame, which I've
Mm-hmm.
had for like the last 20 years, actually. Not the same mattress, but I've had it for like 20 years. And it was in the same room I had when I was a kid at the
Mm-hmm.
house when I had the bad issue before.
Yeah.
But it's that room, like even to the point that I won't go in there when the lights are off.
Okay.
And it's the room. So like I've got like a 4-bedroom house. Like where I
Mm-hmm.
am now, I'm upstairs in this room.
Yeah.
My room's behind me, and then
Yeah.
down the hall you've got the guest room and then my son's bedroom.
Right. Okay.
Even to the point, if I'm in my son's bedroom with him, not putting him to bed,
Mm-hmm.
I can't look into that bedroom when the lights are off.
So maybe because the experiences that you had when you were younger happened with the bed frame near,
It was in the room,
or
yeah.
it was in the room. So
Yeah.
then potentially your energy is amplifying whatever energy is left on the bed frame. So the bed frame has picked up on it, and then you're amplifying it because you know that bed frame was related to the bad thing that happened. But
I've lived in like 6 or 7 different places, and I've taken that bed with me everywhere I've gone since I moved out like 10 years ago.
yeah,
But it's weird. It's just honestly, it's that room, and I'm like, yeah, I won't go in there on my own. And like I would never sleep in that room.
it might be the land that the house is built on, even though it's a new build.
Yeah.
There is that possibility.
Well, just one room though, upstairs.
Actually, it depends where they go, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because maybe it's not a used room. They've decided, right, I'm going to use this room. There
Yeah.
is that potential. Or
I wonder as well. Sorry. I was just going to say as well, I wonder, like, yeah, you've maybe taken that bed frame everywhere, but you're also the most, like, stable, happy version of yourself in this house. Like,
True.
that's where you're the most, you'd notice the difference more. Because
True.
that's a good point.
Anyway.
I think, well, I mean, they can, because there's a whole museums dedicated to, and that film with the doll, Annabelle, is that the one?
Yeah.
There's a whole, it's not unheard of So it could be. Do you know, where did the bed frame come from? Do we know?
Like, what shop?
Or just like before you owned it, you said it was in the house. Like, you know, did your parents buy it? Where did they get it
It was from
from?
my stepdad's furniture shop.
Right, okay.
I
So
picked it. It's nice. It's like a chrome one with like leather. Oh, Lauren's nodding at me. Maybe. Yeah. Who knows? Okay.
there might be some energy
I'll
there.
just go and sage the shit out of it then. Is that what we're saying?
I think, yeah.
Yeah. I'll do it when it's daylight though, because I won't go
Maybe
into the room
just
when it's dark.
yeah.
I'll come with you if you want. I'm coming
Do
around.
you know, to the point, this will make you laugh. I've got a lamp at the back of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I turn the lamp on like for a bit of ambient lighting upstairs, right?
Yep.
At night time, when I turn the lights off to go to bed, I turn the big light on.
Yep.
To go into the room to turn the lamp off.
Yep.
And then I like turn the light off and run off really quickly.
Yeah, you need to sage that bed, the room.
I will do that when we get off the call.
If not, I'll do it with you next. I'm coming round in a couple of weeks.
We'll do it together.
There you go.
We'll do it together.
Yeah, I think
In fact, I won't sage it yet. You can go in and be like, is there any witchy woo shit going on here, or is it just Gemma being a bit paranoid?
Are the vibes off?
That's fine. I'll do it on my own if you want. I'll just be walking around.
Well, that's been fun. Thank you so much, Abby, for joining us and
welcome.
for letting us pick your brains about not just crystals, but all things.
It's been fun.
Spiritual.
It's honestly so fascinating to me. I love having these conversations. I just think every time I walk away and I've like learned something new, and I think it is just
it is a rabbit hole. You learn something and then that answers ask so many questions and then you just keep
it's a lot of fun though.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And yeah,
it's been fun. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. I expect for me to buy some things from you soon, probably.
Okay, you're more than welcome. Always.